but that's the big thing. They don't do a real mental health check on that, and I think that's a little bit lacking in that particular place. Other places might be better. I heard that one of the other hotels sends you bottles of wine on your last day to celebrate.
That's your mental health check. Here's a freaking bottle of wine.
No, but things that like just pump. I mean, we got a little note saying you're halfway there, and
okay,
cute
nice.
things like that actually do make a difference. But I mean, the staff were incredible. It was great. I loved it when we were checking out. They give us a thing saying, if you want to write a note to the staff and leave it downstairs. It felt like, it felt like a kid in high school, like, thank you so much. I loved learning about
Did you get like an exit review as well? Things you could talk about that would be so useful.
I don't know why they didn't do an exit review, and they might be overwhelmed.
I'm sure a part of them is just like, fuck it, listen, you're coming back into the country. We're trying to do our best here, get things done. But at the same time,
I was really surprised by that. So and again, I think it's done differently as well everywhere. I'm surprised that the government's not sending out an exit review.
Yeah.
I do genuinely worry about people and mental health. And
what I was going to say is, like, I understand where you're coming from when they have with the mental health checkups.
Yeah.
Incredibly important. But I do know in New Zealand there's just a huge shortage of qualified people to give mental health assessments. So I live with a few, I guess, budding psychologists.
Sure.
And within Vic Uni, there's 10 of them graduating this year.
No.
Right? And so that's in Vic Uni. I don't know what the attrition rate is within the country, but for universities, it costs them money to get people qualified to become psychologists, right? And psychotherapists and stuff like that. So there's a real shortage here in New Zealand, and the funding's not there for it. So it costs the university to put them through. So we just don't have enough people. And so apparently what the government did recently, and I might be wrong here, but they've actually started encouraging nurses to give the mental health checkups and stuff like that, but they're not qualified to do it, and they don't actually know what is involved in doing it. So I totally get the importance of being like, hey, we should have a therapist or somebody available. But imagine you're in a hotel and it's like 100, and I'm sure everyone's struggling in some way.
Yeah, because even I got to a point where I struggled. Yeah.
And there's also a real issue here where a lot of people go into private practice, and that becomes incredibly expensive, and the waiting lists are huge. Big waiting lists just to see a therapist, just to see a psychologist, and there's just a shortage. There's just not the supply there for it, which is another reason we have antidepressants, people turn to pills because they're a much easier solution, much more accessible. It's like, hey, I can either prescribe you antidepressants, or you can go on a 2-month waiting list to go see a psychologist,
Wow. So, I mean, but what about counselors? Do we not? I mean, that's all you'd really
I think it's all just wrapped up into like a shortage.
Yeah. So,
overall.
I mean, if they could do something to bridge that gap, and I realize that people aren't qualified, but I think it's not even just a mentor, it's just someone coming and having a conversation with you, being like, hey, what are you up to in here?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how you going? Like, because if I hadn't had Grace, like, I could have been talking to my own people, but I could have not physically spoken to anyone.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for watching that clip. If you enjoyed it, make sure you hit that subscribe button on the left. And if you want to watch the full episode, hit the square on the bottom. To watch another small clip, go ahead and hit that square on top. And if you just want to listen to the full episode but don't have time to watch it, you can find this podcast wherever podcasts are listened to. Thanks. Bye.